And let me check in one more new person. Welcome, Alicia. So this is just a refresher, but let me share with you a resource we have, and that you can go ahead and access other classes we've had throughout the summer. And this is where I'll post this class, providing the recording is clean. But our classes have typically been an hour or less, and we've posted them. We have a full class list here, and there is more than enough if you're looking for more credit, if you missed something, or you were participating in a class and you need to rewatch something. So these are the topics, and the only one that didn't work out was Pear Deck. And so if you come back to, say, our Google Meet Basics class, because you didn't take that, you can also watch it here and go for a certificate of completion. It is a different form, so I wanted you to be aware of that. And I'm going to check out our chat here because I saw something pop up. And from Christy, I thought Shelley said streaming was also going to be removed. Correct. And I don't know if many of you would stream. That would be for a large audience of over 100 people. So correct, that's a second part of the special package that Google was offering for free. So Christy's correct, as well as Shelley. So I will put this link right now in our chat in case you don't have access. But these are all our class recordings. And if you ever want to grab a class you missed, rewatch something you participated in, that's a resource for you. Also, Google, they have been providing some very nice resources for us. So if I come down from their website, teachfromanywhere.google.com, and I'm putting that in our chat as well, you can decide I'm a teacher or I'm maybe a parent, and you can find tutorials for certain items there. So let your parents know, because they're going to need help too. And if I'm scrolling down a little bit more, where can I find content to support? And I'm going pretty far on that parent page until I found the Google Meet. So that's why I kept going. I wanted to get you there, and also details about other very important Google resources. A refresher for you, if you didn't already know, Eric Curts from over in Canton, he has a very good video series he made up back in March, and it's all about Google Meet, and he's broken them into very short snippets. So if you look in the chat, I'm going to add that here as well. And I had all these links in our invite, so don't worry if you're not grabbing them or clicking them from the chat. So very nice for you as well. And let's get into the meat and potatoes of class to just refresh you. So I've been sharing my screen, and I'm going to stop doing that. So typically you're going to come in and you're going to see a face, right? You're going to see people, and look at the top right corner so that way you can see people, and we have 20 in here. So now if I go down this list, I can click any person in my list, and you can do the same. So one thing to remember is that when, and I'm going to go ahead and only present my screen so that you can see some of the Google Meet features. When a teacher is clicking on people on the right, you can click through the list. Students can do the same thing. And here's what I often hear. The teacher is sharing the screen and I can't see it. Here's what probably happened. They moved their mouse to the center of the screen and they hit this little push pin. And mine was already pinned. So if I go to the next person, or I'll start from the bottom of our alphabet here. So if I click on anybody on the right side, that is pinning the person. And that means if the teacher is screen sharing, I can't see it. And every kid can do this. Now people ask, why would you want to do this? This is helpful if you have a team of students who are reporting together. You need one student's voice, but you need the other student's computer screen. So that would help. It kind of freezes one person's screen for everybody, meaning they all have to hit the pin though, and then whoever's microphone is unmuted is going to be the video that jumps forward. So that is pinning. So that's a refresher. Anytime you do start a screen share, make sure you ask your class, are you seeing my screen? And you can ask to have somebody unmute their mic or simply have them answer in the chat. So this is about our People tab. We know at the top right there's a chat, and I've been asked, can I turn off the chat? Not in Google Meet. So the chat is always there. So make sure you kind of keep one eye on the chat in case students are abusing that. Hopefully they are not. So I can also remove a student from class. So I'm right here on Simon, and I can remove Simon from the meeting if I wanted to. And they'd be out. That's it. They can't join back. Maybe that was, my discipline plan, the way I'm going to manage my online classroom. So it's up to you. So I have been showing you my screen down here from the You Are Presenting. First, it has said Present Screen. So screen sharing is definitely a real benefit of this. In case you even don't have a webcam, you can still do this with screen sharing. Same for the students. They could join and share their screens. And that's something else to be aware of. They can share their screens. So make sure you set up your classroom rules and know firsthand, I have those set, that foundation, so they aren't abusing that either. Down here in the lower left corner, I have Google Meet, Refresher, and Tips. So that's the title of today's event. And then I have all my meeting info. So here we see joining information and a 10-digit code. So remember, if you have been in one of our classes, we probably said, don't go with it when it's students, don't share out the link this way. It's okay with adults, with parents, because they're a different audience. But with students, we don't want them rejoining. So the advice is you're going to make a nickname. So let me go through how I would take care of that. So I'm going to stop sharing only because I want to change to a different screen where I can show you my Google Meet screen. So when I pick a new window, I have two monitors here, so that's why I'm going to a different screen. You can invite people, and you get to Google Meet from your apps panel. And I have mine moved. I like to move these around so they're handy and accessible. So click on Meet, and then you can join or start a meeting. Now, students should have it limited so they cannot start a meeting, but they can rejoin meetings if you leave that 10-digit code out there flowing around. But I want to refresh your memory and tell you how to keep your meeting monitored by you and closed from the students when you're not around. So here I'm going to click join or start a meeting, and it says to enter a meeting code or nickname. So that's it right there. That's what you're going to give students. You're going to create a nickname. Maybe it's a combination of your last name and room number, maybe the school year and your last name. It is up to you. Make it simple so you can remember. And this way, the students aren't focused and know about that 10-digit code. So I'm going to continue, and it's staging and getting me ready for a meeting. Now, I don't want to join a second meeting, so I just wanted to show you that this now is a nickname I established. I probably will remember that, but if I don't, because I've made different nicknames for different groups of students, then I need to write that down someplace for myself. Second part of keeping the security in your meeting limited to just when you were in the room. After establishing a nickname and sending that out to students, when you have a meeting, make sure you are last to leave. So I showed you a little bit ago how you could remove a student, right? So let me pull this screen back in here. So if Simon, I'm ending my class, then I can go ahead and click Remove from Meeting. You can also go to the People tab, and I can pick anybody from the list. Again, I'm picking on Simon down here, and I click that arrow, and I know he's really low on the list, and you might not see. So there is a little circle with a horizontal line. Click that to remove every student before you leave the meeting. Now, to try to be super safe, here's another idea for you. If you are a Google Classroom user, then you would just use the built-in Google Meet feature found in Google Classroom. So I'm going in, this is a teacher looking at their class. Here it says Meet link. Now, if you don't see that, it's probably because you've never enabled it. And you see at the moment, mine has an eyeball with a slash through it. And that's because it was enabled, but not today. So I can go to the gear at the top right of my Google Classroom, come down to General, and here is the feature called Meet. So that came out this spring. So Google did a good job of spinning up a nice feature. It is going to generate the nickname for you. So you look at this, and I'm going to try to make that just a little bigger. When you see that code, you're thinking, uh-oh, the kids see the 10-digit code. That's okay. It's a little different here. It's even more secure than the last way I told you. So you don't get to pick your nickname this time, but what I've done through testing, whenever you start a meeting, the 10-digit code that might appear up here in the address bar, that changes every time. So they can't join when you're not around. So right now, this is the feature. You would click. You could even reset it if you felt, all right, I want to be extra safe. I'm going to reset it once a week. But honestly, if they can't see it, and if you aren't in the room, they can't get into it. Here it says visible to students. I'm going to turn that on. And then I'm going to show you a student screen. So here's Simon. And I know it takes just a moment for the stream to catch up. Let's see. I need to, my fault. That's a separate window. So let me grab it really quick, different window. So this is Simon. And Simon was already in Google Classroom. And when he was there, and I need to switch my window. There we go. So I could see what you see. When Simon comes to Google Classroom, there's nothing. Well, I'm going to refresh Simon's screen because since then I have turned on the Meet setting. At least I thought I did. So let me see that. And, oh, didn't hit save. So my fault there. Okay, so back to Simon. Now that the teacher has hit save, I can refresh and there's the link. So now it's available. Ooh, teacher's not in. I'm clicking this. And the student gets this message. Sorry, you can't create meetings. So you're going to have to wait, basically, for the teacher to come back and start the meeting. So that's the result of a student trying to get in when the teacher uses the Google Meet link and the teacher wasn't there. Pretty secure. I like the feature, but I will say this, you are going to want to be sure still that you stick around just a little bit after. And here's the deal there. The Google Meet link that is here. In the testing that Eric Curts did back in the spring, he discovered that about 30 seconds afterward, students could still join back in. So that's all you have to do. Refresh your memory, hang around a little bit longer. Maybe you're cleaning up your desk, and make sure no students come and rejoin. Sorry about that, everybody. It looks like I clicked the wrong window, and so I kicked myself out of my own class. So hopefully you all can hear me. Can I get somebody in the chat or someone to unmute their mic to give me a thumbs up that I am back and you can hear?
You're back on.
Okay, thank you. So look at that. I've done these day in, day out, and I still goofed. So here's what I did. I closed the tab. Don't ever close this tab. You are sharing. So let me go to present now. Do this so you see. And I've only done this one other time, but lesson learned. Do not close the tab. You'll see this red circle so you know you're recording or you know that this is your live window. So do not hit X. I had two open because I was showing you guys how to make the nickname. So just like that, if you jump out, the students are all still going to be joined. So keep that in mind. Sometimes it's nice if you have a co-teacher, a parapro, somebody who can kind of monitor. But I was back fairly fast just because I went back to my calendar event, because that's how I chose to schedule this one. I didn't use Google Classroom. I didn't use a nickname. I created this meeting today on a calendar event because I'm okay with you guys seeing the 10-digit code because you're adults. If you rejoin later, great. Maybe you guys want to rehash something you learned in class. So there we go. Big goof up. But a way to protect yourself from doing that is look to the left of my Meet tab. I have all these tabs and they seem to be teeny tiny, right? So if I right click, I can do something called pin, and now there's no X. It might be a little harder to tell what is that tab, but I'm going to protect myself from making that mistake again. And I can make this meeting tab way over here to the left just by dragging and dropping it. So I am using the Chrome browser, and that way I am safe and I won't close the meeting on myself. So I want to take a peek at the chat here. Great, it was just the chat. And you guys see here, I've lost the previous chat. Participants only see the chat from the point that they have joined. So I had given out some links earlier. There are some new features that came out. And if you had Google Meet Basics prior to April 22nd, then you were not aware of these. And this is what's new then. You can now have a grid view. So they call it tiled layout. Then you can also change your quality of video. We'll talk about quality because speed and the ability of what your participants, your students can do will vary. A low light mode and a noise cancellation. So these are the new features. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and put it back into our chat. Okay, long link there. And even better yet, I'm going to pull that whole meeting tab out of my window where I'm doing a lot of clicking. So let's look at some of those settings. And I'm going to close up my chat. I'm going to share my meeting screen so you can see the settings, but you're welcome to also click them yourself. So when I share my actual meeting screen, you can see across the bottom our typical toolbar. So I already visited where we can get our meeting link, where you can mute. Do not hit your handset. That will hang you up and you'll leave your own class, and your video mute. Closed captions are just for you, but it is nice if you have students who might benefit, special needs students who would like to follow along with your talking. And so Paul is asking in our chat, since that popped right up, you could restore the tab and get back in the meeting that way. I went back to my actual event and clicked the link. You could go to meet.google.com. If there's a rejoin link, some people, if you've accidentally closed a tab, know the secret keyboard combination, Control-Shift-T to bring a tab back, but I'm not 100% sure it's going to have the meeting details. That would be something worth testing out. And then where I was heading is where I can look at the more options. So this is where I could find the new change layout and get that grid. So here's this tiled sidebar, so I can just see a few participants or just spotlight. So I've left mine on basically spotlight, because I did spotlight one tile there a while ago. But you might prefer the grid. Now keep in mind though, if you go to another tab to share your screen, it's hard to have to see that. So sometimes if you have two devices or if you have two monitors, that would be the way to have one computer looking at the grid just so you can monitor, and then use your other computer to actually present your screen. But now you're drawing on twice as much for your computer service or your internet service. We also have the caption feature here, as well as settings. Now, we can do just an audio only. You could have people call in from a phone. So that's a refresher. If you didn't remember that, that could be a part of your invitation to allow students just to join for the sound. Also, how am I going to listen to this myself? I honestly like using a pair of headphones. That way, your own speaker sound is not going to echo back into your microphone. So I highly recommend having a pair of earbuds. The microphone could be your own laptop or computer, but I have a pair of earbuds from my phone and the microphone was built in, and the quality is pretty decent. So video. This is something to watch. Some people say, I don't like Google Meet, the quality is really low. Well, guess what? Google Meet is setting that at a low quality so it can deliver. But if you wanted to bump it up, great. But keep in mind, your audience is only going to be able to accept what service they have. So if they can't get a good picture, or you broadcasting out a higher signal is going to cause them to have hiccups, then you might need to watch this. This is something to tell them too. So even if you're sending out a better picture, they could always receive it at a lower. So these are some settings to be aware of. Also in the video, if you have a document camera connected, you can go ahead and use that. So I'm going to click on done, and I'm even going to stop presenting. So that way I can look here and see that I have something on my document camera. So in some ways, I think the remote learning is benefiting us when it comes to document camera use. So everybody has now a front row seat to my document camera. And if I was going to discuss color mixing, I would always express that we would use our lighter colors first. And sure, let me get something in our chat here. If I have yellow and I want to put in this color, folks. Sound off in the chat what I would make. Pretty basic color mixing. And Christy's first in our chat. Nice. Nicole, Melissa, let's keep them coming. And do that with your students. Ask questions. And this is a way for you to make sure they're still engaged. And you can even call on a person. But some of the advice I've been hearing over the summer is that you would want to have a whole group and not necessarily call somebody out in the first days of using your meeting. So we're getting some mixing here. I didn't bring anything to stir this all up with. So maybe we go beyond just the basic color mixing and we talk a little bit more about, you know, adding more. We have tertiary colors and we'll see what we get there. But even in your classroom, when you used your document camera, the projector would be washed out. The kids were, you know, everywhere in the room. And now this is one of my favorite things where we're getting an up close and personal look at our document camera. If you don't have a document camera, I have another option for you. So this is a refresher to remind folks that you have this as an option. So I'm going to an iPad here and I'm going to stop. I'm just going to change from the document camera screen. And I'm going back in my video to my basic webcam that's coming out of my computer. Here we go. I have an iPad. This iPad is separately joined in the meeting. So that was Simon earlier. And if I pick the three dots at the top right, Simon has an option through the Meet app for the iOS to present the screen. And so it's coming up. What would you like to do? Screen broadcast. Okay, I'm going to start. So if you have apps on your mobile devices, great. Those can be projected. But again, this is a second device drawing on your own internet. So make sure you have the strength to do that. So he's showing the screen. Doesn't look like a whole lot yet. And let me go ahead to the camera. Now I need to hear from somebody in our group if you are getting an image. So in our chat, tell me what you're looking at. Okay, plotted points from Christy. Yep, quadrant image. Thank you, Jamie. So that, if you did not have a document camera, this iPad could serve as a document camera for you. We have the ability to zoom in just by pinching, and then I would manipulate my object. So again, it could still be three-dimensional items. It doesn't have to be flat, but we're always looking for ways to do our dry erase, and then we have autofocus with our devices. So that's handy, but I slide these in. It's almost as if we're going back in time to the overhead projectors. And so since this is a review, this is a document I used in my basics class. And so if I wanted to, you know, plot this, it would be, let's see. I'm kind of doing this backwards. I'll put this back on screen so everybody can see. Letter S is what? Can somebody give me the XY coordinates for letter S? Sharon's reporting in. Let's see. And you could even, you know, have your students kind of race each other and challenge. Now, of course, one person displays the answer, right? It's not like it's a private chat, but that's something you can consider. So a refresher, if I had a mobile device, I could join and use it as a camera, or I could simply project anything it has regarding an application. So Simon's going to stop broadcasting here and we'll be back. Jerry's asking in our chat, is there a way to private chat? Sorry, there is not a private chat. That's something maybe instead of using the chat, you could maybe have a back channel. You could have, but again, That'd be separate for each student. That's a lot of work. We'd have to think about that. Maybe have a Google form and then all the results go to one place, but you're the only one who would see the spreadsheet or the results of that form. So that's an idea. I'm honestly thinking on the fly here. So if somebody else thinks of another way, you can make a chat private for a Google Meet. Oh, sorry, Sue. That's right. I even wrote that when you signed in. Darn it. So Sue Amstutz is coming up as Jerry. Sorry about that. And that would be like my quick on the fly answer. Just have a form and it's one question that says, ask me anything, or answers to chat, chat answers. And that way you would expect every student to respond at least once for each question you're asking. Then you have documentation, and then you can definitely have solid evidence of engagement. And then you would even have formative assessment. So if somebody's answering yes or no, wait a minute, just like you would in class if they were doing their own devices to answer you, or if you have students raising hands, yeses and nos. Now, I want to go through, make sure I've checked some of these other items here, but thinking about your sound. So I had pointed out I'm using earbuds. I have this microphone just built right into it. Your lighting. Get the windows away from your back, because that floods in a harsh, high key light, and that way you're going to want windows hopefully in front of you so they can light you from the front. I have an actual table lamp over here, so something at about 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock, so you're still getting front lighting. I'm also using that for my document camera. So these are some ideas for you for your sound and lighting. I even come armed with this. Sometimes on mobile devices, students say, no, I don't want my device to join with sound. So they can't hear me. And I need an eraser because I can't spell. And then I have another way to communicate. Can you hear me? Now, I want to also share with you guys, I'm holding this up and it is backwards to me. And that's always going to throw you off. I see teachers holding up boards, holding up books for read alouds. And that's a refresher. Remember, it's going to be backwards. You can't look at your own screen and read something. So if I'm going to hold this up, it's not like I can be here looking at the computer, because unless I'm really good at reading backwards, I'm not going to be able to hold and read. I also want you to consider, I see too many of this where, look at all this space around it. Too much empty space. The person here, not important. So you should either use that mobile device or hold these as close as possible. What I like about this, all this is a locker stand. You can pick them up at Drug Mart. It's a wire. They have them in plastic. This puts the device close to me. If this was my device with my sound, then I'm going to have excellent audio. So always get as close as you can to your sound source. And then when it's a device, when it's an object you're holding up, make sure that is filling the screen. And you might even have to kind of look around, get these things up close. But honestly, holding these up, that's a pain. Put them on the table. And the best recordings I have heard have been somebody whose voice was close to the mic and the book was on the table. Honestly, keep it steady and keep it close. So that was a little bit with sound and lighting. And whenever you are, I'm going to share my screen here. Whenever you are trying to start your meetings, think about the apps panel there. I already did this a little bit ago when I was grabbing and showing you about meetings, but make it convenient for you. You could even bookmark it, the address, like all the other Google apps. They always start with what it is. meet.google.com. So bookmark it. I'm in Chrome. There's a star off to the right. So now if I have that bookmarked, it's titled Meet. That works. And you know what? I have no space on my bookmarks bar. So I'm going to even wipe out the title. I'm going to put it on my bookmarks bar and say done. So like I said, my bar is so full, I even have this double arrow. And when I go down now and I come to the bottom, there's my new icon, my new bookmark. And I just drag and drop it to where I want it. So right here is the Google Meet icon. Make this convenient for you. You can get there faster just by having a bookmark and putting the bookmark on the bar where you can go faster. We've done some screen sharing and we talked about some of the tips there. Google Meet does not have a built-in whiteboard program, so there are choices out there, something that maybe you would like. There's several to choose from. Whiteboard.fi. I like this because each student gets their individual dry erase or whiteboard. So when I click here, I can go ahead and copy the address. I'm going to put this in the chat for everybody. So whiteboard.fi, just a refresher. I'm not going to actually launch this with you, but if you were looking for a place where students could kind of private chat, I mean, it'd give you a private answer because each student is going to get a temporary whiteboard. And we have a little video here. You guys can watch that at another time right off their website. It's muted anyhow, but I just wanted to show you, since we are not going to create one, just say new class, nothing's saved here. And then you're going to be giving out a code to the students. So you could type, or paste that into your chat. The kids would click it, and then they would be able to, well, that kid's a fast typer. They would be able to have their own whiteboard. You as a teacher, you get to see everybody's whiteboard. So there's drawing tools in there. So that's really nifty. It's temporary, won't save anything, and then you're able to draw as well. This way, they don't see each other's answers in the chat. Let's see this kiddo answer, and here's what the teacher would see. Everybody giving their answers privately. So that could be a workaround. So whiteboard.fi is a dry erase tool. All you're doing is sharing your screen, and that's all you need to do. I liked this one as well, called GoBoard. It has a limited time, I think under an hour. And what I like about this one, I can bring in PDFs and then I can annotate over them. So I don't have a document camera, I don't have a mobile device, or my wireless or my internet service couldn't support multiple devices. So then I could go ahead and I can use this tool. And it actually has this built-in camera and microphone feature. So if I haven't investigated its premium features, or if you're able to use that whenever you're in a Google Meet, you wouldn't really need the camera and the microphone. So I'm going to leave here, but I like GoBoard as well. And let me go back to the home page to paste this link into our chat. To make a Google Meet a little more interactive, there are extensions you can go out and get. I know Google is working on these as well. No release date, so I'm not going to hold my breath, but there are extensions out there at the Chrome Web Store. And this one came out, this Google Meet Grid View. This was out before Google had their own grid. Now here's what I like about it. It will show you all of the students. Google's grid that's built into Meet only shows you 16. So this is nice that I could see the entire class. Google Meet grid view. So I will put this into our chat as a resource. It also was emailed to everybody who's joined with us. And I'll show these here all in a moment. There's Google Meet Enhancement Suite. So this is another one that if I look at, it's going to give me features where I can mute everybody. I can, well, I'm not going to upgrade, but I can do a push to talk. So that's been asked, can I use my space bar to unmute people or unmute myself? Well, yeah, if you get this little gadget and some other features. So I'll show that one after I include the link here. So this would be Google Meet Enhancement Suite. And my third one, nod to get reactions for Google Meet. Now, this is going to appear in the upper left corner. This would give you your nonverbals, thumbs up, raise a hand, applaud. And so this is a nice one. Now, all of these are extensions. So you do need to be logged into Google Chrome. And so if you're not familiar with extensions, just let this pass. If you are, go ahead and check these out. And whenever you use them, you have to have them enabled before you start your meeting. So if anybody right now is jumping out to the Chrome Web Store to try these out, you're going to have to wait till you join again, a new meeting. Even if it's you by yourself, start a new meeting and see what they do for you. So mine have all been enabled. And what I'll do here is share my screen and then extensions on an iPad, do they work? Alicia's asking. No extensions, because you use a Chrome browser on a mobile device differently. No extensions work on mobile. So thank you for asking, for catching that. That was a good one. So I'm going to present a different screen. So all I've been doing to flip between them has been stop presenting and then hit present now to start over again. And I'm picking a different window each time. Now, I didn't have to do that. I could have just done my entire screen and then dragged windows back and forth. But I wanted to show you here, my upper left corner is the nod. If anybody in our group already has this one, can you click and see? I have a wave. Okay, Melissa gave us a thumbs up. Alicia raised her hand. So that tells me they have this extension. So use it with a grain of salt. If not all students are using the Chrome browser, if students haven't gotten the extension, you have to make sure it's approved by your district in some cases, that they can go to the Chrome Web Store or they can push it out. If you ask your Google admin to push the extension, then that would be a lot simpler. So every school district has different rules regarding extensions. So I'm going to move from the nod extension and I'm going here to my, I need to make sure I give you the right title, Google Meet Enhancement Suite. That is up here. It looks like a little circle, almost like a video camera. And so here's where I can enable push to talk. And I can just press my space bar. Auto join, quick leave, auto captions, auto mute. So that's a few of its tools. It's okay. I'm not going to say that that one is something I'm very happy about, but this one I am. This is the grid. So grid for Meet, and I see maybe I don't want to see myself, or I want to highlight speakers, and I can enable the grid by default. So all of these choices, and I'm not clicking them because I'm recording and I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but those are the choices separate from what's built into Google Meet when you click Change Layout. This is their tiled view of only 16 at a time. So I hope the refresher is helping. I talked fast to push through because I had to get a little bit of basics to refresh your memory, but then some tips, also refreshing, hey, if you have a document camera, or what do you do if you don't? So I'm going to stop our recording here and see if you have questions to ask, or if you want to try some things out, like screen sharing. Because I know that was something where I've had teachers say, hey, here, the entire class, I didn't know they couldn't see my screen. Then what do you do? So I will stop our recording. And you know what? I need to cancel that because I forget this every time. Before I stop this recording, I want to show you in your folders, where would you find this recording? And again, that's only going to be available till the end of September. But if you have past recordings, you're going to want to be sure where you find them. So in your Google Drive, and I'm just queuing up another video here, another window. I want to pull in where I have recordings from another school district. So I'm showing you my Google Drive, and automatically at the end of a recording, it goes to your drive. Now you need to give it some time to process. So here's a folder, and it's going to have Meet recordings in it. When I open that up, here are recordings that I have from that time, as well as the chat. So now that chat, if you have students sounding off, you can check it afterward and you say, you know what, 3 kids have never responded. Are they really sitting there? Because it's hard for you to watch the grid and share your screen. So have those check-ins for engagement, even if everybody sees the same answer, but you know that they had to be at their keyboard and they had to respond to you at a certain time. And you can use the chat to check for that engagement. So now I can stop our recording.